Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Avril Lavigne's new album, her seventh overall, Love Sex, just released like last week. This is a pop punk revival for Avril. This is her signature sound as a lot of the mainstream knows her to be. It comes 20 years after her debut, Let Go, which came out in June of 2002. I have reviewed Let Go on this channel, so I will link that review in the description. I have also reviewed her most recent album, Head Above Water, which came out 3 years ago this month. Now, I have wanted to review more Avril on this channel. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I did make a top 10 Avril Lavigne songs video several years ago, but I kind of want to update it because, truth be told, when I made that video, I had not listened to every single song in her discography. So I have now a much better kind of fully rounded view of her music, and I need to update my top 10 songs of her career. And actually something I do want to do in the near future, now that this album is out, is do a tier ranking of every single Avril Lavigne song. So I'm really looking forward to that. Stay tuned. It should be coming by this spring. Well, let's talk about Love Sucks. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is going to be a briefer review. This is a shorter album. It's under 40 minutes. We've got 12 songs, but a bunch of them are under the 3-minute mark. This album is over and done real quick. And I'm also going to have to be brutally honest. If you are an Avril Lavigne stan and you worship everything that she does, you may not enjoy this video. Because unfortunately, and I really debated back and forth on whether I was going to even film a review for this project, my thoughts on this project are not going to be quite so glowing and positive as I've seen from a lot of other publications and reviewers. I mean, I do think this album is somewhat divisive because I do think that within Avril's fan group, there are people who want a specific sound from her, and they can sometimes be a little bit at odds. I think a lot of us are in agreement that Avril's later material, her more recent albums, have not been up to the quality of, like, let's say, her first 3 records. Her first 2 in particular. There's, of course, the age-old conspiracy that sometime after Under My Skin, Avril died and was replaced by this woman named, I forget what her name was supposed to be, Marissa or something. And, you know, there is a little bit to that, but obviously it's not true. Avril has changed. I don't know if matured is necessarily the right term in using this album's context because there's not a lot very mature about this record. Avril is now 37 years old, and Let Go seems like a far more mature record than this one is. This seems like it was made by a 16-year-old. That's probably the biggest issue I have with this project. Lyrically, this album really does not step up to the plate. And that is the one critique that I am seeing across the board. You know, people are saying, do we even come to Avril for the most exquisite songwriting? There are certain lyrics in here that stick out that just feel a little bit juvenile, a lot of cliches. I understand that she wants to sort of channel the nostalgia for the early 2000s. But something that I think she's kind of not really getting is that, yeah, I know she was a teenager at that time, but what I'd really prefer to see is her reviving that sound, but also staying true to her, you know, progression as an artist, as a 37-year-old, dealing with things in a little bit more of a complex way. I don't know how I'm necessarily putting it. Maybe a grittier way is what I'm trying to say, because a lot of these lyrics feel very kind of one-dimensional, very kind of on the surface. And unfortunately, you know, it's a lot of the guitar that's doing the heavy lifting here. But I think this album feels a lot like songs that were kind of, they feel a little bit like, let's put a pop punk revival through an AI computer and spit it out for us. And give it a little bit of a sprinkling of early 2000s kind of Disney Channel pop. Because I'm getting very Disney Channel vibes from this record. Some of the songs, they remind me a lot of some of these like, kind of not really edgy, but like pop punk groups that came out around when like Hannah Montana was big and they were trying to like go for that. But nothing feels like mature or something of substance. And I'm just kind of like, okay, so this is just a fun party record. That's all that it is. We have one ballad on this entire record. And for Avril, that's kind of an outlier. She's usually a little better about, there might be really just one very stripped back ballad that's super emotional, but there's a lot of songs that are a little more mid-tempo or sort of a bit of a crossover between ballad and something else. The lack of ballads is something that is very glaring to me on this project, and I'll be completely honest with you. I am definitely more a fan of Sad Girl, kind of at the piano, just at the guitar, pouring out her emotions into beautiful melodies and vocals, than I am necessarily a fan of the He Wasn't Avril, who's just, churning it up some riffs on an electric guitar with the punk hair and kind of just throwing up this sign and going, yeah, like that's not. I get that I love her more, rambunctious and relentless pop punk hits from the day. I love He Wasn't, Skater Boy. These songs are iconic. The lyrics also are just, they're just this like kind of modern day fairy tale that just roll off the page and feel modern. They feel close to the heart, but they also feel universal. I don't know what it is about these songs, but they just are lacking the same kind of staying power, the same kind of powerful rhyming schemes, and things that just make Avril's melodies not just catchy, but so memorable of her big hits. I think that this album overcompensates a little too much. I think that if Avril understood that we do want a little bit of that pop punk sound, but we also want more of just what we love about Avril, which honestly, in my opinion, I think Let Go is more of a country record than it is a punk record. I feel like a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but there are a lot of songs on that record that almost veer more into the country direction than they do into the punk direction that she's going for here. In some ways, I suppose you could say her most punk record might be The Best Damn Thing, which this album is definitely, I think, a sister record to, but it's missing When You're Gone, it's missing Innocence, it's missing Keep Holding On, and to be honest with you, there's nothing quite as infectiously grabbing as Girlfriend, though I suppose the track that is kind of leaning the most into that is Boys Lie, as well as Bite Me. The two most, I think, enjoyable listens on this record for me. The opening track, Cannonball, is just, in some ways, I think a perfectly apt opener for the record because, yeah, we're amping you up. It's got the electro glitch kind of fast speaking vocals that Avril has experimented with on some of her more recent records. It's modern, it's edgy, but of course, it's also bringing back that classic smashing guitar sound that for me is very Disney Channel, but I know that there's a whole punk rock scene that is stemming from. But let's be real, this is kind of an MTV sound. This isn't necessarily what you think of when you think of punk in the very sort of like art school sense. This is the very kind of whitewashed Disney Channel MTV sound of pop punk. I mentioned Boys Lie as probably the most catchy hook on this record. I think that Boys Lie also has just a perfect blend of anthemic melody with really stirring and relentless drum work and just like really fun, amped up energy. I think Machine Gun Kelly pairs really wonderfully with Avril's vocals. He's got this deeper, very kind of dark tone to his voice, and Avril is very light, and they go so well together. And obviously, this is a collaboration with Travis Barker of Blink-182. Here's the problem for me. I think that Avril went into the studio, and Travis sort of got into her head that she's this pop punk icon, which she is. But it was sort of like, all right, well, we're here to just party. That's all we're here to do. And look, I get that Avril has party anthems. Of course she does. But all of her records are only half of that. They're like 50%. The other 50% of pretty much every single record of hers is more mid-tempo to ballad, kind of depressing, melancholic, expressions of songwriting. And I just don't, with a little bit of a country tinge. And Travis Barker clearly doesn't see that in Avril right now. And I guess Avril's just not wanting to channel that. I remember after Head Above Water came out that she was saying she was going to make an entirely different record. And I can understand it. Head Above Water was a very, very personal, dark record. And it was kind of just this like expression of grief at what she's been through. She's been through so much with Lyme disease and everything. I can understand her wanting to just have fun this time around. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to reiterate that ultimately this doesn't make me view Avril more negatively. I just think that this album just wasn't for me. Head Above Water was speaking a little bit more of my language. But that's not to say Head Above Water had some misses on there, that's for sure. It's definitely a mixed bag of a record. But overall, it still kind of lived up to what I was wanting from an Avril project. This album, it's not for me. It's not for me. Bite Me was a smart choice for the lead single because honestly, like I said, along with Boys Lie, Bite Me is the one other it song. This song would have fit beautifully on The Best Damn Thing. it carries all of that, you know, of the title track of that record, that same sort of energy and feistiness, and also just really great hook that, you know, doesn't need to be long. It's a perfectly length song. I have no problem with that one. I made a track review of it. I'll link it in the description as well when it came out in November. But when we get into Love It When You Hate Me featuring Black Bear, I already feel like we've been here before. Like, this song is just like a slightly lesser good version of Bite Me. Love Sucks is even more of a step down in quality, and I have to point out that there are just some really cringe lyrics on this one. Let's play a game of tic-tac-toe. I'm gonna go and make all my exes say, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not feeling maturity here. But at the same time, I'm not going to come too hard for her for that, because it's not like she's trying to be. The album title, I think, is perfectly apt for this because it's very middle school. It's very preteen, very teenager. It's very, you know, love sucks. All right. And why does it suck? Why does it always happen to me? Avril has had, you know, quite some whirlwind romances. She's been married twice, you know, like, obviously she's kind of gone through the ringer. So I can believe her when she sings about these things. But it's like she's trying to remember what it's like to Dear Diary at the age of 17. But it's like so disconnected from how she actually was at 17 that it's like, this is a 37-year-old. Okay, we're doing the little fun acronyms. We're saying boy instead of BOI instead of BOY. Like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm sorry. But again, how is this me being a little unfair? Kiss Me Like the World Is Ending, flat. The melody is flat on this one. I'm not a big fan of when the rhythm and the melody line are so in sync that it's just like this, you know, very simplistic progression of beat. Kiss me like the world is ending. There's not enough note variation. There's not enough kind of going on in the background instrumental to divide it up. For me personally, it's just not as memorable. I do find it interesting that on several of these songs, it's the verses that I prefer to the chorus, and then vice versa. For example, I actually really like the a little bit more country-tinged verse instrumental before we go into the chorus, which just kind of falls flat for me. And then it's a bit of the other way around on Avalanche. Avalanche starts out, the vocals, I don't know, it's not as weighted as I'd like it to be. But when we get into the chorus, I'm 100% here for it. Avalanche is the other standout song on this record for me. There's a little bit more of an electro feel to it behind it. The chorus comes around and the mantra of it repeats over and over again. You really get the energy from it. You know, there's this trepidation, this anxiety that comes through, which, you know, is the one more kind of reflective inward moment on the record. Deja Vu is probably in the middle for me. I'm not skipping this song. Again, I could have seen it on The Best Damn Thing. But I couldn't really have seen it on Under My Skin. And that's, again, something that I just really want to point out here is that when people are saying, oh, she's making an album like Let Go and Under My Skin, I'm like, no, she's making an album like The Best Damn Thing. Under My Skin, when it was edgy and pop punk, it was dark. It was more metal than anything else. And it was really melancholic. And melody was always really strong. It was gritty. This isn't gritty. This is just by the numbers pop punk. But once we get to the last 4 tracks on this album, I'm sorry, but I have tuned out. The last 4 songs on this album do not do anything for me. And I know the one that is going to really get some people heated is Dare You to Love Me, or Dare to Love Me, the one ballad on this track. The song that is supposed to be the It Was In Me and the I'm With You of this record. But those 2 songs, it ain't. Dare You to Love Me is the weakest melody Avril has ever had for a power ballad. It is so disheartening. And I don't even really feel the emotion in her voice. If you dare to love me. Like, it just feels like she's phoning it in, but also because the piano is so simple accompanying her. I mean, look, I feel as though the people involved and around her were just clearly, I mean, this was the one song that, if I'm not mistaken, Avril wrote entirely on her own, and she felt it was too personal to even include on the record. But one of the producers said, no, it's got to go on there. And I mean, I can tell that Avril kind of made this kind of separate from the Travis Barker Mod Sun guys, but I'm missing guitar on this song, or at least more strong acoustic guitar. You know, I'm thinking of I Wish That You Were Here and how just rich that texture comes in and supports her vocal. Because I do think that there's something with this melody that could have easily translated into something more powerful for me if the production was entirely different, if it didn't feel quite so sterile. And I guess that's the best way for me to describe this one. I'm getting the sense that it's being phoned in, even though I want to feel the emotion from what she's saying in the lyrics. Though granted, lyrically, we're not getting anything super insightful. This is a by the numbers romance ballad that just kind of plays it safe. And I get that it's kind of her thing to just be on the surface with lyrics, but I need more from it if we're going to have such a bare bones instrumental melody kind of combo going on here. Anyway, I'm sorry, but it's just a miss for me. And then Break of a Heartbreak, I mean, you know, Break of a Heartache, what even is that? What even is this song? Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not getting anything from it. All in all, I just don't really see the maturity. I don't really see the progression. I see cashing in on sort of a TikTok 3-minute, like really fun, catchy hook revival thing that feels actually very divorced from the legacy that Avril, you know, was, you know, coming up in. And I don't know. I'm kind of mystified by all the positive reviews. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is my least favorite Avril Lavigne by a long shot. And I thought her self-titled was not that strong, but at least her self-titled has some amazing ballads. And even when she does go a little bit more like in that typical fun pop punk mode, Rock and Roll is just, you know, just excellent. So I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to get some hate for this video, and that's why I was debating whether I was going to even put it out. But I'm not feeling it, you guys. I'm not feeling it. I wanted to cover it because I do love Avril, and I'm always looking forward to what she's going to do next, but this album is just not it for me. I don't feel the same level of effort and emotion behind it. I just feel something a little bit soulless and a little generic. All in all, it's maybe just not my style, and that's totally fine, and I'm not trying to diss her for that. This is just my opinion, and I just thought I'd share that. If anyone else in the comments feels the same way, in which they're a little bit missing the more sad, depressed Avril coming through, the little slightly, you know, grittier and raw Avril with like real open heart wound kind of showing through, I feel you there. I'm just not really feeling it here this time around. She just wants to party. Good for her. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you all so much for watching this review. I hope it didn't offend you. I'll see you all in my next one, and stay tuned for that Avril Lavigne tier rankings, song tier ranking video, because I'm very excited to make that one. Again, it'll be a bit controversial, but I'm still excited for that, because you know, there's a lot of album records I want to review that I haven't, and I'll be able to finally talk about so many Avril songs that I haven't on this channel yet. Please like and subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in my next one. Peace, love, and light. Bye.